gentlemen, distinguished guests, welcome to the United States Capitol. In a few weeks, Americans will mark 70 years since the end of World War II. When that war concluded on the deck of the battleship Missouri, General MacArthur spoke of his great hope that the carnage of that war would be a foundation for the future based, in his words, on the dignity of man and the fulfillment of his most cherished wish for freedom, tolerance, and justice. While we know that the world failed to emerge, especially in Asia, and within a few years, America was called to lead the free world against communist tyranny. President Kennedy would later call this the long twilight struggle. This struggle led us first to Korea in the early 50s. Later, led us to Vietnam, a country that few Americans had ever heard of. And today we gather to celebrate the Vietnam commemoration and the 50 years since the deployment of America's first ground combat units. We do this consistent with the will of the United States Congress and with the President's proclamation. And we also do this with obvious pride and appreciation. At this time, I'd like to ask two groups of heroes to stand up. And if you'll hold your applause until both groups have risen. First, as Speaker, I'm blessed to ask my congressional colleagues who served during Vietnam to please rise. And I'd like to ask all Vietnam-era veterans with us here today, please rise and let's give them a big hand. Today we honor all veterans of the Vietnam War, including those held as prisoners or still listed as missing. We honor their sacrifice and their service on behalf of a grateful nation, and we pay special attention to give thanks to the families of these heroes. Vietnam was a tough war. It was a long war, but the soldiers, sailors, Marines, airmen, and Coast Guardsmen who served built a reputation for commitment and courage unparalleled in our military history. They faced rejection on the home front, something that should never, ever happen, and they stood tall and did their duty without complaint. And so today is a very special day, because Americans still want the things that MacArthur spoke about on the Missouri: dignity, freedom, tolerance, and justice. These are things worth fighting for anywhere in the world. And I give special thanks to God that we're defended today by warriors inspired by the example of these Vietnam veterans.